Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for a Challenge Cup semi-final between Edinburgh and Bath. Two sides stacked with talent in a competition that, just like the Champions Cup, has two games taking place that involves just sides outside of France and then a France derby as the other contest of the semi-final. Looking through at the lineups for these two sides, Pierre Schoolman, Ewan Ashman and Darcy Ray will be the front row. Sam Skinner and Grant Gilchrist in the locking duo for this matchup, and then Jamie Ritchie, Hamish Watson comes back into the side, Bradbury as the number 8. Ali Price and Ross Thompson, they will be the 19 combo. Harry Patterson out on the wing. Out on the other, it is Darcy Graham. He is a welcome sight for Edinburgh fans at this stage of the competition, as well as at this stage of the URC. Wes Goosen at number 15, and then that midfield combo of James Lang and also Matthew Curry. Looking through at the lineup for Bath, you'll see a few familiar names. Now, if I'm not wrong, which I often am, this might be the first game on the channel that we have covered involving Bath. So it's a bit of a monumental occasion. Thomas du Toit, the Springbok, as the number 3 there. As you can see, Yules and Rue will be the locking duo, and then a very handy player in that number 10 jersey in Finn Russell. Now, this is a little bit of an interesting situation because they're playing in Scotland. It's a home field advantage for Edinburgh, but also you could argue a bit of a homecoming for Finn Russell here too. Normally plays his rugby in the Premiership involving England, whereas here gets to play it on home soil. Ben Spencer, he will be the number 9. They've also got some brilliant players in that back line with Muir out on one wing and also Thokina Singer out on the other, and there de Granville, or de Lanville, I should say, as the number 15. So those are the lineups at the moment based off current form. Edinburgh have been on a bit of a tear. They've had some big wins, although they did also struggle a little bit when it came to adapting back to the URC after the Challenge Cup round of 16 and quarterfinals, where they were victorious over two South African sides, but 1 point victory for the Sharks. That was a big one as they slowly build into the URC, or at least closer to the URC playoffs. A tie with Zebre last week, I don't think was a fair indicator of what this side can do in front of a home crowd here. They will be very tough to beat. Looking through at the lineup for this Edinburgh side, for Bath, they were able to get themselves a couple handy wins, as you can see in the Challenge Cup, 2 big wins over a French and an English side. They were then able to get themselves the victory over Exeter in a close derby, and then a big win over Newcastle heading into this contest. So a little bit different 4-match winning streak at the moment for Bath, and it's not just 4, as they have been extremely strong throughout the Gallagher Premiership, only losing the 2 games for themselves, sitting 13 wins, top of the table with a massive gap between them and Leicester. So this is honestly, at this current point in time, the best side that could be thrown into this matchup. The fact that Bath have got such a run, they've had some good away wins too. In terms of whereabouts the Edinburgh side sit, at the moment they're in 10th. They're right on the verge of making that top 8, and it's often talked about at this time of the year. Can you have your, eyes on multiple competitions? Leinster are a side that are in the Champions Cup in the near future, and then also top of the table for the URC. For Edinburgh, they either have to probably win this Challenge Cup or they'll have to commit to making the top 8. They'd love to do both, but it's going to be quite the tough path on the way to the end of the season. But looking in the chat, we have got the Edinburgh to win by 1 score, says Patrick, and should be a good match, says Tony. And yeah, I'm thoroughly looking forward to this matchup. Now, a few of the earlier games of the Challenge Cup sadly weren't being shown here in New Zealand. The last game that we covered actually involved Edinburgh in their game up against the Bulls. And the only way we were able to cover that was through, I believe it was EPC RTV or whatever it was called. We had to pay about a $15 match fee just to be able to watch it. So it's nice to see it on Sky Sport here in New Zealand. Jamie Ritchie, as he makes his way out of the tunnel, slapping his head all over the place. Going to give the man an HIA before he even gets out on the field. But there are a lot of Edinburgh flags in the stands, all orange. There will be a few Bath supporters, I would assume, who have made the trip, though. And they are wearing their nice blue and white kind of kit for this one. I will also mention that they are at Hive Stadium, so they have got the slightly, I don't know whether to call it 4G turf, but it is certainly not quite grass that they are going to be playing on. That is something that Edinburgh have adapted to throughout their season. Not many sides have been able to beat them when they're at the home field. But then, of course, the Sharks, they were able to get themselves the win only 2 weeks ago. The referee in charge of this one, it will be, I believe it is the Georgian, and Ninish Kelly. It's a big opportunity, or Amusha Kelly, I should say, in charge of this one. Eric Golsons as the TMO, who hopefully won't have to be involved too much throughout this match. I've seen Bath a few times, and I think they should be too strong for Edinburgh, but you never know, says Flesh. And looking through it, all the information that I've seen, because just like yourself, I've only seen them a few times in terms of this season for matches. It just seems like if anyone was going to do it from that premiership side, like I said, it would probably be this Bath team. They've got a really good backline, bit of an underrated one in terms of some of the names in there, but it's kicked off long by Edinburgh, and we are now underway for this Challenge Cup semi-final, and straight away, ball gets kicked onto the roof by Ben Spencer. Welcome to Hive Stadium. It's going to be a big opportunity for Edinburgh on attack. Maybe didn't quite get the angle that he would have liked on that one, Spencer, but you always just want to make sure that ball goes into touch. You're not under too much pressure early. Thrown in and overthrown, in fact, for the line out. So claimed by Bath. We'll now look to use their backline, which is dangerous. It's got Russell, it's got Redpath, and it's got Muir out on the wing, who now receives the ball. 40 metres from the line, Spencer fires it back across to Russell. Of course, do let me know your score predictions for this game, ladies and gents. This is the first of 2 matches we are covering for the Challenge/Champions Cup today. Next match is Leinster versus Northampton Saints, followed by a lot of the 7s for LA. That's a good attack and run again from the big number 8, Miles Reid. Up here, Schuurman looking for the turnover. Can't get it in the first breakdown. Actually going like that on the back of his head. Might have taken a bit of a knock to the skull. Which is not what you want. Of course, both of these sides, as much as they want to win the Challenge Cup, there is also their individual competitions on the line where you need your players 100%. Nice backline again here for Bath. They are having some very nice phase play at the moment. Edinburgh having to defend for around 90 seconds. All ducking under that one, Miles Reid, which almost led to a bit of a gap, but doing nicely was Cameron Redpath to be able to clean it up. Ben Spencer now looks like they're going to just fire this one back across to Tom Dunn. I thought for a second they were going to look for a box kick or something of the sort, and now it looks like the kick is coming for Ben Spencer. Felt like they weren't making enough metres there, Bath, so they will send it to the sky and play the territory game. They're going to bring this one down just outside of the 22, and it's beautifully taken by Whakana Singer, which does now mean that Bath get those few extra metres too. Edinburgh 25 points to 22 win. I'd be pretty happy with the game that close. To be honest, definitely because, like I said, it's the first game I've actually commentated of Bath in the 2,000 or so streams that we've ended up doing. Is one side that's always snuck away. And I feel like the reason for that is back when we were doing the Premiership, Bath actually weren't as strong as they are now. In fact, they were actually near the bottom of the table. They've had a complete revamp over the last couple of years. Whakana Singer passes on the outside. Great run from Underhill, looking for the interception. Beautifully stolen by Edinburgh, who have got Darcy Graham on the inside. But, oh, that's a hard one. That's a knockout right there. That's going to really hurt the skull of Harry Patterson, and I would be surprised if he's able to continue in this match. He had both of his arms tied up, and the only thing cradling his fall was the back of his cranium. But 3 minutes in, Bath have tried to get another steal on the breakdown, but beautifully done here by Ali Price. Kicks it forward and had a clear run to the try line. The ball bounces awkwardly. He gave up, though. He gave up on the chase, him and Russell having a laugh about it. But if he had continued running, he would have won that foot race and more than likely scored the try. Felt like he put far too much on it, but the ball, with the shape of it, can bounce in a very awkward way. We're going to see it now. He would have scored, but he gave up. Well done by Finn Russell, though, to have the wherewithal to continue chasing it. But that is actually very poor from Ali Price. Yes, it looked like he kicked it badly, but with the bounce of the ball, you have to make sure you're watching it into touch. Could that be crucial in terms of the mistakes? Right, Harry Patterson is off for the HIA, like I mentioned. Almost claim there for Bath. I think Finn Russell this time having the drop ball. Now Bradbury for Edinburgh, sitting about 25 metres out from the line, firing it back across to Grant Gilchrist. Bit of a low pass, but he does manage to pick that ball up. So that brings on Mosisi Tuipulotu. Probably a lot more minutes than he was anticipating having. We're going back for the original knock-on. So it is going to be the scrum now in favour of Edinburgh. But it's been a fast pace to start this contest. Neither side taking the backward step, which is a bit of a concern because 80 minutes of playing at this speed on this turf. They're just showing the replay here. I mean, it is the shoulder of Redpath on Hamish Watson. I don't think there was much intent in it. I think it was more of just a cushioning type of tackle. Maybe another angle will say otherwise, but I don't see this one being too cynical. And then saying that, they are going through at the moment, so we're going to see it. See, it's just a two-man tackle. Redpath hit him a little bit high. He got him round the chest and maybe gets... Does he... I mean, he cushions in there. So he's a bit high, but if this is a yellow card, then that's pretty rough. Definitely because there's already the movement of the second man making the tackle earlier. Yeah, I don't think that's any more than a penalty, and if it is, I'd be very surprised. Okay, the referee there, Amusha Kelly, has said he's seeing it across the chest at the moment. Now, the TMO's slowing it down, and of course it's going to look a little bit higher when they look at it at 100 frames per second. But, okay, referee's still saying contact on the chest, so he's happy with just a penalty, but I don't know if the TMO is. Like they've just said in the commentary as well, it doesn't seem like there was a lot of force intended for the head. Oh, okay, we're going to look at this 55 times. Slow down this angle, please, says the referee. But, yeah, no, I think the TMO might get his way here. I think this is going to be something more than just a penalty. See, he's actually, he's kind of resting his chin, like it's gone in behind. So you could argue, I guess it's the neck, but it's still not anything too severe, I wouldn't say. Oh! Okay. No foul play from the referee, who's just actually lost his windshield for his microphone, but it is going to be a scrum now. And there was going to be an Edinburgh scrum anyway, so I don't think it was anything more than, like I said, just the penalty. We don't want too many cards happening throughout these games. But, yeah, an interesting one anyway. It's probably good to see it go that way. What's your favourite beverage, or what's your favourite beverage to wash down a pie or a sausage roll? Says Damo. Can I be honest with you? I pretty much just go water after, like, anything. Like, I'm not one of those people who would drink something during a meal either. I know that you're probably supposed to. But, like, if I have anything other than, like, you know, just a water, then normally I'm more concentrated on the drink than the food. Now, that's going to be a bounce pass there to Darcy Graham. They already had the penalty advantage from the scrum. They will go back for the initial penalty, but I assume you are excited for the Sevens, Damo. So I will ask you, as someone who's followed the Sevens for a long time, what do you think of the new divisions that they've decided to bring out? Having Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, having less games for the Division 2 sides, and also just only having the top 8 playing each other week in, week out. I feel like just from the way that I described it, you can probably tell how I feel about it, but do let me know. Looks like they are going to line up the 3 points here for this Edinburgh side, so that involves Ross Thompson getting to have a shot at the posts. We're about 6 minutes into this contest and won't exactly be the most difficult kick of the day. Sounds like there's a bit of wind though. Although I did mention that the referee's windshield of his microphone, I think, actually came off. So that might have actually been, oh, he's hit the post and it's bounced back out. That was, for my personal opinion anyway, about a 99% chance that kick was going to go over, and Thompson has found the 1%, just hits it straight into the post. Now, thinking through this game, Edinburgh, they didn't chase the kick hard. Ali Price could have scored. They've now missed a three-pointer. I believe they've given up at least 8 points throughout this first 6 minutes, and I have a feeling up against a side like Bath, you cannot afford to do that because they can be extremely clinical. When you look through at their points differential, and now Edinburgh dropped the 22 dropout. That was Jamie Ritchie, and that is now going to be a Bath scrum. All of this pressure, but not turning into points. As you can see there, look at the points differential. Plus 238 from their 15 matches played. Which, when you say it like that, you realise that that means that in each and every one of their games, their points, that's a differential of about 20 points. In fact, a little bit less, about 18 points per match that they are winning by. They've only lost 2 games, but the thing is, some of their games haven't even been close. They've been complete runaways. So I think Edinburgh might come to regret not being able to get those kicks over and also not being able to score the early try, but that scrum has gone down. It is available for Bath to be able to use, but instead they actually take the penalty. Miles repasses it off to Finn Russell. This is where we get to see the mindset of Bath here, and I have a feeling if it's anything like their season, this would be a kick towards the corner, but of course this is playoff rugby. So this is where we might actually see a different mindset coming in. They're kicking for the corner again. It looks like Ben Spencer, he will kick this one into touch off his left boot. That is one of the benefits that they've got, is a right and left boot combo. Getting it down towards that 22, but Bath will get their first real attacking chance of this game. The exception of that little run earlier on of Thokina Singer. Ready to throw this one in for Tom Dunn. Goes straight to Underhill. Looping around is Dunn. And he runs straight at the Edinburgh defence. Now back off to the left. I think he just initially missed the pass, but got it to him in the end. It kind of took away the momentum from this attack for now. Bath, though, 5 metres out from the line. A big slap on the back of Jamie Ritchie, and they will go in, Bath, for their first try. And it is Sam Underhill doesn't manage to score it. Like I mentioned, they're too clinical of a side to not be clinical against. And already Bath have been able to strike. I believe that's almost their first visit to the opposition 22. Depending on how close Thokina Singer, like I mentioned, was. He was right on the verge of getting in there anyway. But first visit to within 15. And then a very skillful offload from the veteran Yules, I should say. Are they going to check this one? I just heard the TMO saying okay, but I believe it's going to be all right. Now Finn Russell, another opportunity to add points. The board for the away side. They'll be a tough team to face no matter what stage of the competition they are in. That kick has hit the post for Russell, but it does bounce over, so it's a day for it, apparently, striking it into the post. Now, just quickly mentioning as well, while I'm at it, Edinburgh finished top of their group in their pool stages. Now, they were a part of the Challenge Cup, having 3 wins, just the 1 loss throughout their time, whereas for Bath, it's quite interesting because when you look at their Champions Cup table, it looks very different. As you can see there, finishing in 5th. Now, the big difference is because they finished in 5th, they actually get to qualify, or did qualify, for this Challenge Cup competition. So, as you can see, the likes of Leinster, they were still playing off in the later stages of the Champions Cup, but Bath go to the Challenge Cup, and, that is one of those things that, in terms of the teams that are remaining, Racing 92, I believe, were the same, that they actually started in the Champions Cup, or maybe it was Lyon. One of those 2 sides started in the Champions, finished in the Challenge, and it's a pretty good opportunity to be able to go far in this comp, already at the semi-finals. The winner of this game will face Racing or Lyon in the final. Going to be thrown in nicely by what would have been Ewan Ashman. Does loop around and loves to get a bit of steam going before he charges the opposition off the back of a line-out. Ali Price goes across to Skurman. This Edinburgh side, there's plenty of international talent in it. Same with this Bath team, though. A few underrated players and some of the past. as well in there. Now playing half back, Darcy Ray goes across to Grant Gilchrist. Now back to the right. We'll be able to use it. Watson goes now, little pop pass up. It actually works out quite nicely for Curry. Now backline movement, Darcy Graham. Not a lot of space to work with, but he manages to get the fend in. And evening, Hamish. Hope you're well, says Anthony. Doing very good, thank you. Anthony, hope you're excited for the day of rugby. We've got Champions Cup coming up next between Leinster and Northampton. Then after that, a whole heap of games of sevens. I think we've got about, at the moment, 14 live streams scheduled on the channel. So yeah, there's going to be plenty to look at in the near future. Now rolling this one back, it is Ali Price yet again. And nicely taken again by by Bath. Of course, the kit colour that they've got, they have to get a different one if they do play Racing in the next round. So the teams will look extremely similar. Nicely taken it to the back. And where's Hurson now? Going to be able to run this one forward up to the halfway line. Gets through one tackle attempt of done, but is dragged down. And now, bit of a counter-up coming from Bath, and they have got the clean turnover. Underhill pops it back up now to Guy Pepper. Spencer going off to the right-hand side here for Bath. Once again, looking to get another... Oh, what a one-handed pickup that is from Matthew Curry. Finn Russell went for the floaty pass over the top, but now he's dropped it, but they will go back for a penalty in the breakdown. This was referee reaching for his pocket here. This seems like it might be a little bit more severe than we first anticipated, but beautiful one-handed steal from Matt Curry. And then on the ground, I think Finn Russell might have been a little bit dirty and trying to slap that one back onto the side of Bath. Oh no, in fact... Okay, I think they're just saying there's no ruck, but it's actually going to be Will... No, in fact, who is that? Yeah, it's Will Muir who's going to make his way from the field the next 10 minutes. Pretty much joined from the wrong side of the breakdown. Yeah, it's one of those grey areas, I guess you could say, because even the commentators are saying, well, it's a part of a tackle, but Bath are now down a man. Seems like a cash grab, says Damo. Yeah, the thing is, they're saying it's to try and benefit sevens in the long run and build viewership, but I think they're losing more viewers lately in the sevens than they're gaining because people just want it to go back to the way that sevens was. I feel like they had a good enough product that they could have pushed. It's going to be the knock-on. And it's going to be now Bath with the scrum about 22 metres out from their line. Yeah, big shot coming in on Ali Price. There have already been some huge hits in this match, including the hit of the back of the head of Harry Patterson, who had to make his way off the field for Mosisi Tuipalotu in his HIA situation. I don't think he's returned to the field as of yet, but Darcy Graham is back into this Edinburgh side after quite a bit of time away. Okay, I think Ben Spencer just having a bit of a conversation there with the referee, making sure they're on the same page. Also looks like Ali Price might have taken a bit of a knock in that last breakdown. And talking about Bath, the pump in the spa bath and the honeymoon suite has broken. That's probably going to be an expensive fix, I would think, Bruce. Who put what in the jets of the spa bath? That's the question. Just inside of the 22. Tumo just informing the referee of where the scrum is going to be taking place, and it's a good position for Bath to be able to just win the scrum and then boot it into touch. Currently sitting 14 minutes into this Challenge Cup matchup, 7-0, still the score in favour of Bath. And there we go. They've just mentioned Harry Patterson. His head injury assessment has been failed. He will have quite the headache tomorrow, because like I said, in the tackle, he got tackled with the ball down lower, so his arms were both tied up, and the only thing that was pretty much going backwards was his head, so he got terrible whiplash too. He will be missing for at least a couple of weeks. Yep, they've been told to use the ball here for Ben Spencer. Taking his time, but does give it off to Finn Russell. And he does get it into touch. Take the blue pill, so the pump in the bedroom is working well, says Tamo. Now, line-out throw here for Edinburgh, who do have a man advantage for the next 8.5 minutes. To see Will Muir taken off the field. I don't know who to support. Edinburgh probably because they're not England. And the URC full of Saffers. Says Albert, well, if you're looking at South Africans in general, Thomas du Toit is actually in this lineup for Bath. So the South African international. So you could also say that you're going that way instead. In terms of the benches, has anyone got a South African off the bench, I wonder? One moment, we'll go like this and we'll put the benches up, see what we can find. For Edinburgh, I mean, Van Wyk, is he South African? Might be. And Brian Venter, there for the Edinburgh side. Now going back across, Finn Russell, oh, trying a drop kick. That looked pretty good. So they might have to check this one. I think it was just below the post to go down. And in fact, they're going to say it was underneath. Hi, Alan Hamish. Here's a Robert, welcome in. And we have got there, hi everyone, don't know much about Bath, who are their standout players. So in terms of their starting lineup, the ones who, I guess, for people who don't follow Bath will know well, you're looking at someone like a Thomas du Toit, the South African international. Got Ben Spencer, who has had a few minutes in the past for England, in that number 9 jersey. Sam Underhill, another English international. And then, of course, Finn Russell in that number 10 jersey. He's kind of the talisman for this team. Works really nicely with Spencer. And in terms of their season, they are sitting top of the Premiership. 13 wins from 15 with a points differential of 238. So they dominate quite a few of their games. Their most recent win was away, or in fact it was at home up against Newcastle, the one before that, an away win over Exeter. And Venter and Van Wyk must be South African. And Sevens Rugby has become a complete farce. A boring watching top 8 teams every competition. Bring it back to 16 teams. People will enjoy it more. I 100% agree. Like, it just seems like this now LA Sevens, that was really badly controlled at the back for Bath. It looked like Guy Pepper had no idea where the ball was, and he's actually ended up losing it until Bath hit the counter ruck, and they've been able to now take this ball back. But yeah, I agree that 16 teams made it so much easier. If they're obsessed with the idea of promotion relegation, bottom 2 teams go down, Challenger Series, top 2 teams go up. That's all they needed to do. But for some reason, they're obsessed with this idea that everyone wants to watch the best teams play each other all the time. That's not the case, you know. Upsets in sevens is something that makes it so great, because every week you could see a team that's ranked way below get themselves a win over a top team. Now we don't get that. So, yeah. I was going to make a video about it, but I thought I'd have to wait till after the LA Sevens, or else they might get annoyed at me, and I don't really want to get a copyright strike from them out of pity during the LA Sevens. We have got their Bath to go through to the Challenge Cup finals. Good morning, Hamish. This is JD and howdy, partner. Here's JD to Robert there too. All quickly taken by Edinburgh. That was caught napping for this Bath defence, and beautiful ball on the inside. And Tui Pelotu scores. That was a big mistake from Bath. That is a big one too. Not quite keeping switched on, I guess you could say, for this Bath defence. They booted the ball into touch. They said, yep, that's all done and dusted. And then Edinburgh taking it quickly. 3 men ready. And Mosisi Tuipulotu gets the try for Edinburgh off the bench. It's the first time I see you crack a little laugh, says Damo. I mean, normally on the Union streams, when it's the middle of the night ones, we're normally a lot easier to crack than the Super Rugby ones. So yeah, if you get me while I'm sleep deprived, you're probably going to see me chuckle a little bit. Now, ready to line up this kick for Ross Thompson. Good thing I chose Edinburgh, says Albert. And we have got there regarding sevens, don't change something that doesn't need changing. Sevens are so unpredictable. It's anyone's game. Every team has a 50-50 chance of winning. And yeah, the silly thing is now, for the teams that lose heading into the LA Sevens, whoever loses these games, don't just get, like, demoted from Division 1, you could call it. They go down to Division 3, which means that if the USA, for instance, one of the reasons that they're doing it is to build towards the USA Olympics and give it more of a Americanized feel, but they could kick USA down 2 leagues here and 2 divisions. They might not even be in the top league by the Olympics, which isn't going to do their sevens a world of good. But yeah, it just, like, all they needed to do, for one, is broadcast the Challenger Series a lot more frequently, but just have 16 teams. There was nothing wrong with 16 teams. Definitely not with the competitive of sides or competitiveness of the sides now. But yeah, they're just saying it's more accessible and more better for the future. But I think that they're going to kill off their audience before they gain one. Did you ever wake up in the morning after a night stream? I think it was all a dream, says Pyman. I've been told by my mum that I was doing the commentary in my sleep, because she asked who I was on the phone with one morning at 6:30 a.m. and I said, no one that I know of. And she said, oh, you're talking about the rugby to someone. And I said, whoops. So the sleep talk sometimes kicks in, but I've had dreams before that I'm just doing the commentary. So even when I'm asleep, I'm still doing them. Now that's going to be slapped back nicely, claimed by you and Ashman. Looks like Ben Spencer went in a little bit high there. Back across to the right-hand side. Mosisi Tuipalotu gets it across to Graham, or at least they want to get it to Graham. Husson will run it forward first. There's no way the USA won't be at their home Olympics regardless. That's true, but if they're playing in Division 3 or Division 2 beforehand, people aren't going to go into it thinking the USA have much of a shot, if that makes sense. It's a little bit similar to the rugby union side of things, how if they're one of the sides who are a little bit higher up in the rankings heading into their home World Cup, that's going to do them a world of good. But yeah, I don't understand how so many of the high up in the board people in the Sevens world felt like the setup that they've gone with is a good idea, because it just makes the whole Sevens for LA redundant, because the top 8 are still going to be the top 8, so there's nothing to play for in terms of those lower teams other than stopping themselves from getting chucked pretty much straight down the gurgler rather than half down it. Come on, the Burr, says Ashbury there. Currently 7-all in this contest. They had a very good chance of scoring early on with Ali Price, but he decided to let the ball bounce around in the in goal rather than chasing it. That's dedication, even commentating in his sleep, says Lilia B. Yeah, had a bit more of a sore throat that day, so I think the commentary in the sleep definitely does take a toll on the voice more than the being awake commentary. Ben Spencer going off to the right-hand side, off to Pepper again. Spencer looping around was Obano for one of his first carries of this matchup. Edinburgh looking for the steal and the breakdown. Hamish Watson's in a very good position, but I don't think he ever quite got his hand onto the ball. Ball's still there again. Or it's Sam Underhill to go down the side. It's just bizarre. Just like the rebranding of the Sevens logo. Yeah, I don't know who's in charge of making the decisions, but they just seem to not want it to do well. Maybe eventually, 5 years down the road, this setup could have some sort of benefit. But for now, all I can think of is kicking someone like Kenya off the circuit when they've just got there. Kenya's fans are going to be supportive anyway, but it just doesn't seem smart. Straight from when they got rid of Samoa off the circuit for the first time since its inception, that was where the downfall started a little bit. And then they brought it back up a little bit this season. There were some good moments, but everyone knew eventually it was going to be too good to be true, because more teams were going to get demoted. Is that the same Tuipalotu or the same Tuipalotu as Glasgow? No. Brother, I believe, of Sione Tuipalotu. Yeah, it was a good turnover in the end from Edinburgh, I should say. And bubblegum on my boots today. Howdy H, says Juan Pierre Bosch. Right, bring a doctor for 7, time is off. So that sounds like Sam Underhill, the try scorer. Quinn Rue, also South African, says Albert. So have you changed your mind and now you're going for Bath? We're all watching Sevens now. Edinburgh is 7 and Bath is 7, says Bruce. And in Scotland we have Aberdonians, I should say. Dundonians, Glaswegians, and Jon Buggers Frey Edinburgh, says Hashbury. I feel like just reading that out, you gain the accent accidentally. Quinn Rue, with 3 years stand down, could play for the Box again, says Albert. Maybe. I don't know how likely. Rassie has been known to to take an overseas guy. And actually, he had that really wide training squad, didn't he, about a month or so ago. Was he in that in the end, Albert? Because I know that he got a few international players in the mix. And Lily B has said, smart to Bruce. And also, bubblegum on my boots. It's a Springbok Nude Girls song, says one Pierre Bosch. They are just showing that first try of Tui Palotu. Right. Is Sam Underhill going to continue? It looks like he is in this one. Juan Klein, or Jean Klein did it like that, says Albert. And how's it, Hamish? Good to see you again. Brother, says Rory, welcome in. And who do you want to win here? Honestly, I don't mind too much. Edinburgh have had quite the dream run in this Challenge Cup, though, beating 2 South African sides, and they've had a little bit of roughness in their URC, so they kind of need this just to help them out. If the Indian experiment works, I can see that model taking off and the 7th Circuit becoming irrelevant, says Flesh. And that's the danger. The more that they change the 7th Circuit now, I feel the more they're pushing fans away. Because when does that 7's one start, Fleshin? It must not be a mile away. Or nice run forward. Straightening run from Red Path. Now off to the right-hand side. Beautiful hands. Chance out wide, and Muir will just be in touch. Nicely done by Bath. Almost getting themselves their second try. Quinn Brew is on Rassie's radar, says Albert. Yeah, I mean, Eben Etzebeth at the moment, having quite a few games off due to injuries. Only just came back and then missed again. So, maybe. And we have, do you bet on any of the games you commentate? I do not, only because I'm absolutely terrible at predicting things. As you guys know, I pretty much predict every single thing wrong, which seems impossible with the amount of rugby that we cover, but it just shows that, one, I'm terrible at predictions, and also rugby's a very unpredictable game. There was one game of the 7s that we didn't bet on personally, but it was Australia versus New Zealand, and it was a final. And the two teams were sitting drawed at half-time, and Australia were about $5 underdogs. And I said that in that case, they should be nowhere near that because it's honestly a 50-50. I think about 10 people in the chat bet on them, and in the end, Australia ended up winning and got themselves a bit of a payday. Did I mean Evan Bath in the Garden of Edinburgh, says Rory. And walking to work listening to this. Come on, Edinburgh, says SP. So it must be night shift or evening shift for yourself, SP, I would assume, if you're going for Edinburgh here. Junit's right in the non-rugby break. North and South, says Fleshin. Yeah, I'm very curious to see how it goes, and I hope that it can take off. Because, I don't like what they're doing in the world of the 7s at the moment. The guy in charge was on the rugby pod. He explained it well. I have to check that one out. And it's going to be a Bath advantage now at scrum time, and that is only 5 metres out from the line at the moment. It's Egg, says Ashbury rather than Edinburgh. Oh, yeah, I've got there. You don't always get it wrong, says Lilia B. And this is the new... Or did you watch the new Rassie podcast? It's pretty good. Which was some inside camp funnies. Says Juan Pierre. Yeah, that's another one that I haven't seen as of yet. Missing a lot of rugby pods at the moment, it would seem. And 3:30 in the afternoon for us, midday shift. Says SP. How many hours are you doing, SP? Are you going to be off by evening, or are you going to be going till all hours? Assume if it's 8 hours, you'll be back just before the end of our... Oh, in fact, no, you'll be back well and truly before the end of the day of 7s that we're covering. We have got the week before last. It sounds very interesting, says Fleshin. Now that ball is going to be fed in now. Pops the ball off the back. Getting within a couple metres. Hamish Watson joining the breakdown straight away now. Pick and go around the side for Pepper. It will be once again just short of the try line. Not alone on that, done a few times. Kiwi Lads commentary with my earphones during work hours. Says JD's 4.5, done by 8:30 today. Says SP. Yeah, so you'll be out just after those first few games of the 7 circuit. Obano, ready to go to the side, and that's very close, but he's been turned onto his back there. I believe the ball is just short, though. So it does mean Gilchrist has to get out of that. Almost got himself in a bit of trouble with the referee. Bath, that is brilliant defence from Edinburgh, driving them towards the touchline, and I believe they were out. So Edinburgh now have to line out 5 metres from their line again. And that is some crucial defence coming just before the halftime break. They couldn't afford to concede. It was, I think, Darcy Graham who rushed up enough to put on that pressure. Yeah, the Edinburgh chant going around the ground as well. The crowd loving that one. Looks like maybe another injury coming in here for Sam Skinner. He's just getting a little bit of attention to the eye. In fact, that might be Darcy Ray, who is also getting some medical attention. Yes, it is. So multiple players down at the moment with injuries. 29 minutes into what has been a pretty competitive game between these two sides. Neither one budging too much defensively anyway. Can lead to an entertaining second half. And of course, after this game, we are going to be covering Leinster versus Northampton. So anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. After that, we've got 13 matches of sevens that we are going to be covering. We possibly could have done more in terms of the other exciting matches that are coming up, but I thought I'd better have some sort of breaks in between too. A little bit of thunder going around the ground at the moment, bit of AC/DC, or as they're called sometimes, nicknamed here in New Zealand, Akadaka. I think New Zealand and Australia, we have nicknames for pretty much everything. We don't even want to say the full name of McDonald's, we just say Macca's. Now, scrum feed. I always end up mentioning food and then regretting it because then I get hungry, but the sun's come out for this matchup. A beautiful game of rugby on the cards here in terms of weather-wise. All about to be fed in by Ali Price. They have dealt with all the injuries. They have patched up players who have got cuts. They've put fingers back into place. Now getting that ball in, going off to Mosisi Tuipulotu. Ball was loose, and in fact, it's going to be the penalty going the way of Bath. He's not able to get that ball out too cleanly. It means that Bath have got the potential of going for 3 points here if they want it. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if once again they kick for the corner. It's been the mindset all throughout their season, so I don't really see that changing now. Oh, they've set a good platform here for Bath to be able to build upon. Yeah, some nice work in the breakdown too. Should mention from Bath to be able to get that initial penalty. Now Tom Dunn ready to throw this ball in the rolling ball, something that Bath can use every once in a while too, and it looks like they're going to go to it here, but Edinburgh, known for defending rolling balls relatively well this season, not letting it through. They have already stopped once. Ben Spencer now just letting Dunn move, although they've looped around the side, and Dunn breaks forward and scores the try. Edinburgh probably thought they did enough, but about 2 or 3 players stuck with the rest of the maul. The others moved forward, and that is very nicely done by Bath. Our RSC podcast with Danny Herber was my favourite one. Says Albert is now going to make the score 12 points to 7 with a kick to come for Finn Russell. Like I said, scoring at an opportune time here for Bath. And Dunn just gets that ball down. It was hard work of where he was in comparison to the line, but does make it look relatively easy. Talking as much as you, or talk as much as you want about food, I'm heading to a 24-hour fast. No stopping me, says Bruce. Now ready to line up this one. So do you go fast for 24 hours, then 4 kgs or 4 litres, I think it was, wasn't it, of yogurt, Albert, and then you go back to a fast? That's quite a dynamic. But now, moving forward, sitting 12 points to 7 with the missed kick coming from Bath there. The score will remain as 12 points to 7. Ready to kick this one off is Ross Thompson. Edinburgh will want to fire back pretty quickly here. Similar to what they did when Bath were able to score that first try of the contest. Mosisi Tuipulotu makes a good tackle on Pepper. Spencer rolling this ball back again for this Bath side. Now away from home, of course, having a lead like this can be extremely handy. Going up for the ball, Johan Husson. In fact, sorry, it is Wes Husson. It's going to be knocked on, though, and the scrum will go the way of a Bath again. Had bacon cabbage for lunch, then just before the game started. Bacon cabbage. Is that literally as it sounds, as in like it's bacon and it's cabbage? Or is it something completely different? Like some sort of, I don't know what it would be. Honestly, I can only think of it being bacon with cabbage. Sounds alright though. It looks like Darcy Ray. He's still got that bit of a cut under the eye, which they've managed to seal up pretty well. Our Lions GNGZ look good on Finn Russell, along with a few others selected at fly half. See, here's JD. Yeah, this Lions side, I believe. When are they getting selected? It's next week, isn't it? British and Irish Lions squad announcement date. That's quite the 8th of May is when it's going to be happening, and it's a live event, so we have to keep an eye on that one. That is only 4 days away, so you want to, of course, put in that last-minute big performance. Get your possibly selected bacon, cabbage, parsley, sauce, mashed potatoes. So here's Patrick. He doesn't sound too bad at all. Once again, do love a bit of food talk. And how do you see the Leinster-Northampton going? Can't see Leinster keeping them scoreless like their last 2 championship games. I agree. I think that Leinster will at least concede a try. But I do think they'll score a fair few themselves. Like, they've been looking pretty strong this year. And at this time of the contest and at this time of the season for the URC, people start to wait for that Leinster decline. But I think that this one, they should make it through to the final. Don't get me wrong, the Saints are a very strong team. But I just see Leinster being too strong. Definitely at home. We have there Leinster win 25 points, by 25 to 30 points. And thanks so much noted on May the 8th. See, here's JD. Yeah, we'll definitely have to get a video out at some point, or maybe even a live watch along of the stream, whatever it is, or wherever it is. I'll have to learn that for here in New Zealand. Now, a bit of a counter-ruck coming from Bath. There's been a lack of ball security at times for Edinburgh in their breakdowns, but they've managed to get it straight back after the mistake comes from Bath straight away. Thomas Detoy trying to get into the breakdown, can't quite rip it away, and actually giving away the penalty advantage there for a player not rolling away. Ross Thompson passes out wide, nicely claimed by Bradbury, and they'll go back for the original penalty. Now, chance here from just inside of the Bath half. A little bit of a tongue twister, but see, this is where Edinburgh, I think they'll still try and kick it towards the sideline here, rather than going for the 3. I just think it's the better choice in this scenario. And yep, they are going to kick it for the corner yet again. Like I said, the side, in fact, both teams like to go quite aggressive. And the fact that Thompson missed that 3-pointer earlier, I think maybe put them off the idea of taking too many threes. It's a pretty decent kick as well. We'll sit about 10 metres out from the try line now. Crowd getting behind them. Going to be a big moment in the game for Edinburgh. They are down by 5, but they could be up by 2 if they are able to score and convert just before the half-time break. And what has been a half that's gone relatively smoothly with the exception of 1 or 2 injuries. Ready to throw it in. Ewan Ashman gets it straight into the hands of Grant Gilchrist. Now rolling maul starting up again here for Edinburgh. Referee calls it as the same maul. Looks like a great game. Jacques from Cape Town. Yeah, at the moment, very competitive, which I think is a great sign. And to be fair, the Challenge Cup has really had some pretty that's a bad offside there for Will Butt. Yeah, they've had some pretty brilliant games in terms of closeness. We've seen a lot of runaways in the Champions Cup, whereas the Challenge Cup, this is kicking off a little bit there. Bit of a scrap almost happening between Graham and I think that was Guy Pepper. Those two still having a bit of a chat while they're lying on the ground with each other. It looks like Guy Pepper's not really phased. Darcy Graham, I should say Jamie Ritchie's still being held back by Sam Underhill. So I don't know what's happened there in the breakdown, but Jamie Ritchie's still talking to this Bath side. Right, I think that the TMO is about to get involved, so we're about to find out what annoyed him so much. Okay, just calm him down was the comment there from the referee, so Doesn't want an angry Darcy Graham. Okay, number 6 after the whistle. So that was actually Guy Pepper. It sounds like he may have started something there, and Jamie Ritchie said, well, I want to finish it. Oh, no, sorry, my apologies. It was actually Jamie Ritchie who made a bit of a late tackle. So then, yeah, Guy Pepper grabbed him, and Jamie Ritchie or Darcy Graham going for a scrap. Doesn't surprise me at all, says SP. Yeah, Jamie Ritchie. I mean, when you see him running out onto the field and he's smacking himself in the head, you know he's in there for a bit of a fight and a bit of a scrap. It looks like they are actually going to take the 3 points here for Edinburgh. So give them a 2-point deficit heading towards halftime. Just the 3 minutes remaining. By the time this kick is taken, it will probably be closer to 2. Yeah, pretty evenly matched first half, though, between these sides, and could honestly go either way. The winner of this game will face the winner of Lyon versus Racing 92. That game takes place at 11:30 p.m. tomorrow for us here in New Zealand. And that kick from Ross Thompson has gone over. It's going to make the score now 37 points. 37 minutes in, 10 points to 12. Little bit of a difference there. We haven't quite got the 37 points on the board as of yet, but I don't doubt that we will get there at some point throughout this match. Like they're saying, just a much better end to the half for this Edinburgh team. They did start the match, like I mentioned, quite decently, with the exception of those 2 big blunders where they gave up probably 8 to 10 points. With the exception of that, though, they haven't looked too bad. It's going to be kicked off high by Finn Russell. Nicely taken under the high ball there for, I believe it was Bradbury. Now across to Pierre Schoeman. 9 has been told to use it in this case. Once again, Ali Price. 2 minutes left in the half and they are within their own 22. So Price does get the angle. Kicks it into touch. They thought about a quick throw but decided against it. Always better when a game's close. Exactly right. That was one thing that the Champions Cup didn't have compared to the Challenge Cup, was those games going down to the wire. Like one of the rounds we saw Leinster get a massive win. We saw a couple other games separated by 20 or 30 points. And you just lose that competitiveness. And for neutrals, looking at a game that is extremely close like this, that's exactly what you pretty much asked for. Finn Russell now passes across. Going to be a big shot coming in on Will Muir. Now Spencer across to Underhill. Bath looking to strike just before the halftime siren. Russell again. Ow, his head hit the ground hard. Is he going to be all right to continue? Yep, he is back up to his feet. To be fair, he's quite a resilient fella, Finn Russell. Oh, ball comes out the back, but it's still on the side of Bath. Crowd not too happy about that one. Now back across to Obano. And that is going to be an advantage now in favour of Bath for a knock on. Ali Price tries to get back and clean it up. In fact, the advantage is over now, so we will be playing on. Chance here for a counter. Darcy Graham trying to run it forward, goes through the gap. In fact, this time it was actually the inside centre. What was happening on the wing there? I think Matthew Curry, I don't know whether or not the ball fully got to him, but something happened and he just didn't look like he even attempted to catch that possession. Looks like Bath now are trying to close out this half. The crowd are booing it, but it is a smart move to kick this one out, and they will accept the 12 points to 10 score at halftime. But like I mentioned, competitive first half between these two sides. Expect a bit of the same in the second. Whoever wins this game will face Racing 92 in the final. I'll quickly get the date that final will be taking place. I believe it is later on in May, though, maybe actually early June, that we do get to see the next leg of the Challenge Cup. Yeah, I feel like there'll be a little bit of disappointment for Edinburgh in terms of some moment. 24th of May, actually only about 20 days away. That final is going to be taking place. It's a 7 a.m. kickoff. I believe that's for myself. Yes, it is. So 7 a.m. on Saturday morning is when the Challenge Cup will be taking place. Time for coffee, be back in 5. Says Patrick, and my B-day. So happy birthday to yourself, Patrick. Hopefully the day has been going well for yourself so far. Yeah, just showing highlights of the Northampton game they had recently up against Castra. A couple other games that weren't hugely, I guess, hugely close is probably the best way of putting it. But Northampton going to be in action in about an hour and 40 minutes time. Do you see Blitzbox winning the LA Cup? I think they'll be competitive. They're in a group with a few other very strong sides. Great Britain, I think they should be able to beat. Although there was that one game, wasn't there, where Great Britain really ran away with it. Then also alongside that in their group, they've got Argentina. That's a must-win in terms of just the overall rankings. And then it's one more team. We'll be covering the game on the channel as well. France is the other team that they've got in their group. So honestly, I see them doing relatively well. I'd like to see them make it through to at least the semis. But we'll see. The second half starts as my shift starts, says SP. What is it that you're doing for work, SP? I assume that it's something that you're probably not able to sneakily listen to the rugby while you're doing it. Happy birthday, Patrick. Says Lilia B there. And now second half continuing on in the very near future. And like I mentioned, a lot of sevens taking place today as well, ladies and gents. We will be covering quite a few games on the channel. And the day is a bit dull with no URC, but interesting, says Robert. It may be dull for like South Africans in regards of there aren't many South African teams in action, but a few South African overseas players in action throughout these other comps. So that's one bonus. Ardegeir Snyman, he's going to be playing in an hour, 40 minutes time. Plus the seven side of things, I think, will fill that void of less South African teams. Up the Blues, says Tim. Now, I did see that you messaged me, but I haven't actually seen what it says yet. But I assume... Oh, yeah. So you're all good, which is fantastic news. So Tim, ladies and gentlemen, Rugby Itch, as you can see him in the chat, will actually be covering the Fiji versus New Zealand game of the sevens, as there is an overlap with Leinster versus Northampton. You will get to see his face rather than just his little emoji in the chat. But yeah, in terms of the sevens, that is the first of 13 sevens matches that are coming up on the channel, just in order. Fiji versus New Zealand, that is the first. Then it is Kenya versus Samoa, South Africa versus France, Argentina versus Great Britain, Spain versus New Zealand, Fiji versus Australia, USA versus Samoa, Kenya versus Portugal, South Africa versus Great Britain, Argentina versus France, Australia versus New Zealand, Fiji versus Spain, and then Argentina versus South Africa to close out the day. So, yeah, quite a few matches taking place today. So the Cheetahs just beat Border 106. Geez, it's a bit one-sided, isn't it? It's a very good score for the Cheetahs, though. And, I mean, they are trying to put their hand up as a possibility of a Super Rugby side. And with results like that, you know, yes, maybe they aren't up against the strongest opposition in that contest, but we'll see what happens in the future. Bath have a South African coach, and my mum was born in Edinburgh, so it's a bit more interesting, says Robert. So at the fantasy making chess pieces, at the factory, still on nights, just kidding, says Bruce. I'm just working in a chippy because I'm still in college. To be honest, my boss is so cool, he will probably let me have it on in the back room, says SP. Now I really want some chips. Are you working at a good chippy, SP? Would you say that it's one that you'd recommend if someone was to go to Scotland? Scotland's been one of those bucket list countries. I've got about 10 at the moment that I'd like to get to at some point. It's just working out a way of doing it alongside the international rugby schedule. But they're just showing some of the highlights from that Northampton versus Castra's game. Both sides winning big in their last matches in terms of Northampton and Leinster. But looking at the benches still to come for these two sides, Mosisi Tuipulotu, he made his way onto the field quite early due to the change that had to be made for the HIA, and he actually went on to score the try. A few decent players off the bench for Bath and Van Wyk, as well as Will Stewart, Ross Maloney in there too. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens in regards of the second half. A few other players, a bit of a walking wounded situation, I guess we should say. And Blue Lagoon Chipper in Scotland, is great in Scotland. And yes, Best Chippy, honestly, we have an award for being the best chippy. We have people from across the world come visit all the time. Nice. I have to give it a look at some point. Of course, it might be a few years at least before I'm in Scotland. My sister went to Scotland. Don't know whether or not she went into any chippies, though. You might have seen her if she did. However, Austria beat Slovakia 117-3 in the Rugby Europe Conference today. Says Tonian. It's another pretty one-sided affair, isn't it? It looks like a few runaways in the... See, I'm worried to say lower leagues now because of that Stephen Donald situation, that you feel like you're insulting a competition by just saying that a few of the lower ranked teams are involved in it. But yeah, it's great that the European Rugby Conference has got so much coverage in terms of the first league and then the lower ranked one as well alongside it. Afternoon, Hamish says, Roof, welcome in, Roof. You're doing extremely well. I hope you're excited for the upcoming rugby. There is certainly plenty of it just around the corner. They are just showing Northampton in action up against Castra. They will be in action in 1 hour, 30 minutes time, and we will be live for that match on the channel. I finally made it back. Need coffee. And for your commentary, says Ruth. Yeah, it's one of those interesting ones in terms of time zones for anyone in New Zealand. These games are all brutal, but I do wonder how many people are up watching these matches. I do think that the Leinster-Northampton game, a few people might decide to set their alarms for 4:30. Never been a chippy. A much better at metalwork and welding, says Bruce. I guess it's just personal preference as well. A little bit. Some people, like you said, doing it for college. Some people also decide to stick at it. Some people love that customer service side of things, which, you know, they have to have some pretty good patience to be able to do. Waiting Bath is very strong, says Roof. 114 points to 0, says JD. Yeah, that is the last 2 games, I believe, for Leinster, isn't it? So, yeah, like the fact that they've been able to do that up against, you know, like 2 sides that aren't mugs in terms of Harlequins and Glasgow, like 2 pretty handy sides in their respective right, but yeah, it just seems like at the moment a bit of a mismatch in terms of what they've done throughout this competition. But someone like a Northampton, who have also had a couple big wins, might be able to push them a little bit. Customer service is great some days, so frustrating other days. Just got to see how people are feeling, says SP. And yeah, the thing is, it only takes one person who's having a bad day to ruin about 10 other people's day. So if you try and meet them with happiness and decent service, sometimes they'll go, oh, okay, I'm the one who's being a bit of a fill in the blank, or they'll go, nah, don't like people being happy, so we'll try and ruin their day too. I've got work at 9 a.m, so going to have to log off soon. Midnight here in Japan, says Damo. And come on, Bath, says Jason. And also, Bath is a lovely historical Roman-influenced architecture town. And was there in 2000, says Ruth. And it's pretty awesome looking at their stadium, seeing in the background, in terms of the, I guess the background's just beautiful on the field. They're just showing the highlights of Henry Pollock, who has already mentioned that he's going to try and get under the skin of Leinster a little bit here, and Leinster have already said that they're going to try and shut him down early. He does really enjoy the crowd by the looks of these highlights from the last game. Aqueducts, says Ruth. But yeah, in terms of what is next for these 2 sides, they haven't actually mentioned it as of yet, but for Edinburgh, their next contest that has taken place will be up against Connacht. That is only 8 days away, or it will be 7 days now, seeing as we are 1 day after it did make this. But then also they've got Ulster, and that is 2 weeks away, and that will be their last game of the URC regular scheduled pool games. Then if they win, of course, they would have the possibility of a Challenge Cup the week after, and then it would be a quarterfinal with the URC down here just at the end of May. Whereas for this Bath side, they have still got a few more games in the Premiership, playing Bristol next week, and then they will also have Leicester and Saracens. So 2 pretty tough games to finish off their Premiership comp with. Once again, they've got the bye week there just in case they do make it through to the next stage of the competition, which we are still eagerly awaiting to find out if they do. And Bath, very proud history, worked with a guy who chef with me, part-time, played for the Bath rugby team, says Roof, and been to Roman Baths a lot of the Flora's original, says Jason. And misheard, thought it was a cricket score, 3 for 117. Austria playing cricket lol, says JD. Yeah, cricket coming back very soon, which is great news for us cricket lovers. I just saw Jack Goodhue in the highlights of that game up against Northampton Saints. Probably a game he wants to forget, as they did lose 51 points to 16. But the second half, very close to getting underway. Do let me know your in-score predictions, ladies and gents, as we do currently sit with a 2-point lead for Bath, but it is far from over. Have they got a movie about the Pope's death? Is that what this is? Maybe they started filming it before he did pass away. Conclave is what it's called. But yeah, it looked like the Pope was in it in terms of his death. We've got the unbelievable Bath should win, but who knows for sure. Yeah, like Bath have been putting on some brilliant performances throughout the Premiership. Some of their scorelines have been ridiculous this year in terms of ridiculously good. We'll go here, Premiership Rugby. They have one game that was just an absolute slaughter. In fact, they've had quite a few. I mean, Gloucester in the most recent round beat Exeter 79 points to 17. So it does seem to be most rounds we see at least one runaway game. But Bath beat the Quins 47-28. They beat Gloucester the week before 42-26. Beat Sale. They lost to Northampton, interestingly enough. They were able to beat Saracens 68 points to 10. Newcastle 40 points to 15. 40 points to 13. Beating the Quins as well, 55-31. They lost to Bristol a little bit earlier on in the Premiership. Yeah, so overall some pretty solid wins for this Bath side, and just consistently winning by around that 20 to 30 points with a couple outliers. Can't wait. Matey missing cricket. My final prediction is Bath 27 to 17 of the Edinburgh side here. Yeah, second half just about to get underway. Anyone who is new to the channel, of course, like I said, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It is greatly appreciated. You all being here for this match. We have got plenty more in the future. And yeah, there's been some pretty entertaining rugby over the last couple of weeks, I do have to say. With the amount that we have seen and the amount that we have covered, you would think we'd be sick of it by now, but it's probably the complete opposite in terms of what we've been able to see throughout the last month or so. Sounds like the last ad is just about playing, which does mean that we are very close to the start of the next one. Like I mentioned, next game that has taken place is going to be the matchup happening between the Leinster and Northampton Saints sides. We'll be doing that one on the channel, kicking off in an hour and 30 minutes, but we are starting a little bit earlier in terms of that time. Showing highlights of the IPL too. I don't even know how far through the competition the IPL is, which is pretty poor from myself, but because of the time zones that they take place, and normally when we're up at this hour, it's because we're either editing, getting ready for the weekend, or doing the live stream, so I don't actually get to watch as much of it as I like to. Scottish Fling says, Ruth, first score. You know what, with your comment of Scottish Fling, I'm going to say either Darcy Graham or Joe Thokanasiga, right wingers for these two sides. I think will be the first ones to get the tries here. It looks like the weather's really gone downhill since about maybe 20 minutes ago when the sun came out. Now looks like it's about to rain. I feel like that's probably Scottish weather in a nutshell in a way. But both sides making their way out of the tunnel. Bath the first, make their way back to the field. Hoping to see a little bit more of Thomas Detoy throughout that second half. I feel like we didn't get to see him as much as people would have liked in the first half. Currently looking in terms of the odds, Edinburgh came in as underdogs into this contest, ladies and gents. And currently, the way that it sits, I believe they are still the underdogs. Bath, yes, they are slight favourites here. We'll have to wait and see what happens throughout the second 40 minutes. I'm actually quite excited for the second half. Hopefully it is going to be a good one. And hopefully the rain stays away, because honestly, it looks like it's only a few minutes away from a bit of rain possibly falling. Referee fired up for this one too. At the end of the day, it's a big opportunity for the refs. Be able to enjoy this type of occasion too in a Challenge Cup semi-final. Getting closer to international rugby, I believe. This referee is in charge of the third or the second British and Irish Lions match up against the Australians. A little bit of a fun fact there, so he'll be excited for that potential opportunity later on. Finn Russell, he will be kicking off this one for this Bath side. Both sides look like they are all ready to go. I think we are just waiting for maybe the TMO to be back in position. And like I said, at the moment, Bath are favourites heading into the second half. We've seen just the one yellow card, but we've also seen a couple tries scored. Maybe a couple tries missed out on too. Just thinking about some of the defence that we saw from Edinburgh just out from their goal line. Looks like actually some studs are going to be tightened here for Sam Skinner. Just checking all of them, and he is going to be all right to continue, or at least doesn't need the new pair of boots. And once again, they are playing a little bit of AC/DC. Seems to be the band of choice at the moment from the ground. Finn Russell ready to kick this one off from right to left, or left to right. In fact, this half of rugby, and it's kicked off now. Edinburgh claiming inside of their 22. Down by 2 points. They really cannot afford an early try to be scored against them. There's one thing that they would certainly love, and that is to score a try of their own early in this matchup. Kick downfield and does manage to put it into touch. So actually a very similar fashion to what we saw in the first half in terms of the early try, or at least the early play of the half. See there, Pierce Schoolman still on the field, same with Darcy, Ray, Ewan Ashman. That is the front row for this Edinburgh team. Like, honestly, they've still got a very strong three on the field. You have to ask the question, when will the benches start to roll out? Finn Russell's says JD. Now Edinburgh, they have got themselves positioned about 30 metres out from their own line. Looks like they will try and roll this one back. 9 has been told to use it. And Price now does kick the ball high. Has got it down towards the halfway line. And slapped back by Edinburgh, who do manage to take the ball back. Now kicking it again. That's a big shot and looked a little bit late too, if we're being honest. That ball does almost go into touch. And Thokina Singer, I think his foot may have just been on the line there. But this does not look good for the ribs. Yeah, that's a good... I mean, it's a bit late from Underhill, but I don't think it's cynical enough to be anything more than just a general rugby incident. And it was a good kick from Ali Price in the process of getting absolutely smashed. Managed to get some good meters game, but he's got a very sore rib cage, rubbing it there. And Sam Underhill just goes over, gives him a bit of a rub on the leg and says, yeah, I think I got you. He stayed down for a bit longer there, Ali Price. Hopefully we'll be back up to his feet, breathing heavily, just trying to get some wind back in the lungs. Not exactly the half start that he would have been after, but that kick certainly would have been. It was a brilliant one downfield. The pressure is back on Bath. We have got there as the toilet versus sink game after this. Let's go EDINBURGH, says Drape. I mean, Edinburgh, to be fair, like this season they've played some pretty entertaining games. When they get open space, they can have some incredible moments. But they just have to find a way of pretty much getting through Bath, which is not easy to do. We've seen multiple sides try it and multiple sides fail throughout the year. The only two sides successful in the Premiership, as we learnt, were Bristol and Northampton. Everyone else they have been able to beat. Now rolling maul here for Edinburgh. They're still moving forward for this Edinburgh rolling maul too. A few players wrestled into touch, but not a part of them all. Ali Price goes back across to the right-hand side to Dewey Pilotu. How we going there? Not much penalties. Says Roof. Yeah, honestly, it's been a pretty well-disciplined game for both sides. Just don't know any of these teams. Amy waiting for Geordie's game. Oh, that's a deliberate knockdown from the winger. This could be bad. In fact, it's Tom de Glanville out there on the wing. This might be quite a bad one for Bath. They might lose one of their players right at the start of the half. They've already lost Will Muir earlier on with a yellow, but that looks like it's a denying of a clear try-scoring opportunity, or at least a pretty darn good one. They are just getting the number here. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be too good for him. In this case, number 15, Tom de Glanville. Even if he tried to pull out of that, he was still going to be a bit of trouble. And yeah, the crowd were not happy about it either. I can tell you that right now. So it's clearly away from his body, outstretched hand, slapping the ball down. They're just checking to see whether or not... I don't think there's cover defence. I think that almost has to be a penalty try for Edinburgh. So it sounds like the decision will be a yellow card for de Glanville, a penalty try for Edinburgh, and a man advantage for the next 10 minutes as well, just to add a little bit of a bonus for them. Right, camera back on the referee, so we are about to find out. No cover, you are the last man, so it will be the penalty try. The crowd are cheering as the ref runs towards those posts, as it does become the penalty try. 7 points guaranteed for Edinburgh there, and a great start to the second half. But we have to give credit, of course, to Ali Price. That all came from a brilliant kick, and then they gained the territory. They got the line-out steal, and they were able to make the most of it. Yeah, just that knockdown from de Glanville. And yeah, and Finn Price, maybe next try. Maybe. Ali Price, not a bad chance. He actually would have scored the first try of the game had he chased his kick that little bit harder. Woohoo, says Ashbury. Yeah, Finn Russell, I feel like he's definitely likely to get an assist soon. But I don't think anyone was predicting a penalty try as the first one that we would see. Nicely claimed by Edinburgh, but the penalty goes the way of Bath for a bit of obstruction. One of the Edinburgh forwards was the replacement 18, Sebastian, who actually ended up giving away the penalty there. That is not ideal when you've just made your way onto the field. Normally you want to have an impact, but not that kind of impact. And they're just announcing that he's made his way onto the field too, so everyone knows who it was who ended up making the mistake. And come on Bath, I should say, from Jason. A line-out throw here for the Bath side. About 15 metres out from the line, so a very good position to be able to attack from here with Tom Dunn having the throw. The last line out was, in fact, stolen, so they'll be a little bit cautious here. Now, nicely claimed. Spencer goes across to Butt. Currently short side looking pretty decent in terms of the numbers, but instead just hitting it up again was Miles Reid. Pick and go here from Bath, only a couple metres out from the try line. New advantage here coming for Bath as well. They can throw absolutely everything into this. Ritchie trying to get over the ball and just kill it off. It does not work with a man disadvantage. Bath have themselves a great chance on attack. Gilchrist has to drag him down alongside Ewan Ashman. Come on, Edinburgh. Boss, let me have an earpod in to listen to the game. Says SP. Is he by any chance an Edinburgh supporter as well? Oh, great ball. On the short side, Dunn's going to be turned over, but they'll go back for the original penalty. A little bit of a celebration there from the Edinburgh defence, but their job is far from done. Pardon the pun, because Dunn is probably going to have another line-out throw. Yeah, just very nicely done. Once again, not meant to be a pun, just the way that it worked out. Looks like they are going to go for the quick tap, in fact, and it is, in fact, Dunn, who we've said far too often in the last little while. 34 minutes remaining. Obano. Looking like he's going to leave it. Tell you what, another advantage against Edinburgh. Their defence starting to crumble in terms of that discipline, and there's another blow of the whistle, and this time it's double blown. Right, referee getting called over, or at least calling over a player. Now he's a football fan. He just said he doesn't care as long as the other lassie who's on shift was happy to answer the phone while the game's on. Says SP. That's a very nice boss. I feel like most people would love to have a boss like that. I feel like some people, even if they say, hey, can I quickly do something, the boss will be like, nah, not happening. I think Edinburgh needs a bath. Says Jason. They will certainly need a few showers after this game, that is for sure. But Bath now once again are going to have themselves a quick tap 5 metres out from the line. Dunn throws himself at the defence again. Now changing direction. Pepper goes off to Miles Reid. Again, 2 metres out. This is going to be very fatiguing for this Edinburgh side. They cannot defend forever. They'll be looking for a turnover somewhere along the lines. Pick and go again. Bit of a risk there and turned onto his back. He's just short of the line. So another phase could be coming. And now, pick and go. Short side. Crowd cheering with every tackle that is made. They're going to have to make a few more of them, that is for sure. Referee saying to get out of there for Edinburgh's players. Brack is playing the harmonium. Says Ashbury, and after Edinburgh match, I'll have a hot bath. Says JD too. Everyone loves a bath pun. Although it's not really a pun, is it? It's just more saying you are going to have a bath. Currently down by 5. Bath on attack still. This has been so fatiguing, like I said, for Edinburgh to continuously use their forwards. When do Bath decide to shift? It doesn't look like it's yet. Underhill going across to Miles Reid again. Obano, is the big man going to have a carry? They've given him a bit of space to work with. It was far too much. He's closed it down and he gets the try. Bath get back into the contest with a man disadvantage. The crowd are booing as they are not happy about what they have just witnessed. Bath don't exist up in the Northern Hem, says Drape. But it was a good pick and go from Obano. Needed him to get over the try line, and that is exactly what he's done, or at least it seemed that way. I think they're actually going to be going with the TMO here for a bit of a check. Oh, there's an arm. There's an arm for a start anyway that ball lands on. They might have to look at that one from a different angle perhaps to try and see whether or not it's going to stay. Hamish also doing some of the Sevens games. Going to be late night for me, says Yarnlu. Oh, they are going to go TMO here. So, yeah, you'll get to experience that Kiwi lads type of time zone, Yarnlu, when you are doing those late night games. So when it's about when's that last game? I think it's at about 4 a.m. South African time. So when you're sitting there at 4 a.m., it's normally the time that the Six Nations, the URC games take place. It's quite a brutal hour, so hopefully you do all right there. Right, they're just checking that one. Looks like it's down as the comment from the touch judge, from the commentators, but the thing is, the first arm is under it, like I mentioned. So it's whether or not the ball is down after that, because that's very close for Obano, and then Ewan Ashman ends up in the way, and we can't actually see the ball anymore. You would have to assume that at some point he's got that ball over the line, but you wouldn't guarantee it. Is that the best angle available, says the ref, so he's not too happy with the angle provided. Honestly, on-field decision is try, so they need clear, conclusive evidence that it went over. Who actually touched down? So it was Obano who would have the try if this ball's down. Now, of course, the ball is oval shaped, so there is a bit of that ball on the far side that we can't see that you'd assume is a little bit closer to the ground, but I think this might be held up. Okay, the referee's just said, I don't have a grounding at the beginning, and at the end, I don't know what happened, was the comment. So he's going to look at it again. It's held up. That is a big call, but at the same time, I feel like it's hard to give those ones. Like, yes, he probably got the ball down after, but no camera of the 15 that they've got at the ground could find a grounding. Go, Edinburgh, says Albert. No, in all seriousness, Bath is an amazing rugby team, says Drape. And like I said, they've had quite the turnaround over the last few years. You know, you look at their premiership season in fact, we're going to do it. We're going to look at their premiership season. Premiership Rugby 2023. Where'd they finish? In the 2023 comp, they were 8th. In 2022, the verdict was they were 13th. So they've made quite the comeback. In 2024, last season of the competition, they managed to make it all the way to the final and eventually lost to Northampton. So like 2022 compared to now, whole different team, which has been thoroughly impressive, and I'm sure extremely happy times for Bath supporters when they've seen the turnaround their side's made. Now Bath again will be on attack from about 25 metres out, and another penalty awarded. This is getting bad, and the referee is going to take control and will award a yellow card against Edinburgh. Who is it? Player's still down at the moment. It's Sam Skinner. First 15 school rugby. Porters and ref says JD. Yeah, like in the defence of the ref, there was no clear grounding, right? It's just in that scenario, you just assume that a player who's over the line like that would get the ball down, but I guess they don't have that luxury of just assuming, because or else then that gets them in a bit of trouble. But they will be down to now 14 on 14, although I think that Bath's yellow card is just about ended. So they will be back to 15 with Tom de Glanville making his way back on. Sounds like more changes are about to be made here. And absolutely, Amish says JD. Yeah, Abano, he will make his way off for Bath, which does bring Francois van Wyk out onto the park. And also a couple other changes being made too. Ted Hill making his way on, and I think maybe Maloney making his way on as well for Bath. So they've got quite a few impact players making their way off the bench. Nicely claimed by this Bath side. Now rolling maul. Chance here again. Yep. They're going to go off to the right-hand side by the looks of it, or at least they should, as they're right next to the sideline on the left. Maul still moving. It's close to breaking away, but it looks like it's still dynamically moving here for Bath, who will get just that little bit closer and closer to the try line. That was extremely close to them crossing it. Edinburgh should win the Challenge Cup, says Tyrone, although of course first they have to get past Bath here. But yeah, whoever's in the final, they will still have a tough game up against either Racing 92 or Leon, and that is a massive one right there. And it is a steal for Edinburgh. A penalty just out from their try line, coming at the perfect time if you are an Edinburgh fan, as they were on, once again, very crucial defence just out from their goal line. That's something that saved them in this game so far. They have had 2 tries that the opposition haven't scored through being able to defend it just out from their own line. In fact, Barbary has actually made his way onto the field for Alfie Reid. Now, Edinburgh, they're saying, can we just have a bit of a spell? It's been a bit frantic at the start of this one. Yellow card, 3 minutes remaining for Bath, in fact. Just seeing you're exhausted. I can understand why New Zealand teams aren't in the URC. Although I would love to see the Bulls and Crusaders battle it out. Says Robert. See, a couple years ago, they actually went with the... they did a comp, or at least a one-off match between the winner of the URC, the winner of Super Rugby. But the sad thing was, they did it at the same time as a Six Nations fixture. So Munster didn't have their best team. The Crusaders, they had just lost all their big players, so they didn't have the same team, and it wasn't really broadcast well, so no one really knew that it was happening. Because last season, we could have seen Glasgow versus the Blues, but sadly, they seemed to get rid of that idea due to poor viewership, but it's because of the timing of it. Oh, you've got the strange-looking vodka glass there, says Rian. Yeah, I mean, with the upcoming about 8 more hours of streaming, I feel like a vodka glass of any size would be a bit of a risky play. I feel like we've become very uncensored by the end of it. Ben Spencer going across there to Sam Underhill. Now again, they'll go quickly, knock on advantage against Edinburgh. Just don't seem to be able to catch a break at the moment defensively. Just all-out attack coming from Bath time after time. They are going to go back for the original scrum. Seems to be the play from Edinburgh is as soon as there's an advantage or something, just try and get someone in the breakdown, force the turnover so that they can't be hit on the break type thing. I much prefer the structured play, it would seem, for this Edinburgh side. Currently sitting 17 points to 12, though. The clock is ticking on. Next game taking place in only an hour and 5 minutes' time. Was that Gerard Butler? I don't think that was Gerard Butler. I could be wrong. If it is, he's aged 5 years and 1. Gerard Butler. What's he looking like at the moment? I'm going to have to put 2025. I don't actually think that was Gerard Butler. I think it was someone who looked a lot like him. I'm not sure if that was actually him. No movie with a beard, and I don't know if that was him. Unless, of course, he does look a little bit different to last time I saw him, and also the pictures. But now going off to the right-hand side, Finn Russell trying the risky offload. Another penalty awarded here. And then we'll go back away. Would have been a great foot race between Wes Hussen, I should say. And the man chasing. Sadly, we don't get to see it. Once again, it sounds like Bath are going to be opting for the corner. They've done it quite a bit throughout this half already, but a lot of penalties here going against Edinburgh, who might not be a mile away from giving away another penalty. And then maybe a yellow card. I had a friend in Edinburgh. She liked rugby. Her name was Fern. Lost contact, though. Says Bruce. That was Frank Butler. Was it? What does Frank Butler look like? I didn't think it looked exactly like Gerard. Frank Butler. Wait. Is he? Wait. Does he have a brother called Frank that they've confused? I can't find a Frank Butler through Google, but yeah, I assume it wasn't Gerard. Oh, that's a try, though, for Bath. And this time it is done. Does pop up with the possession. I'll be pretty happy with that one, Bath. 30 or so minutes remaining. In fact, a little bit less than that. And still with that man off the field. Although, of course, the benefit is their opposition also missing a man. Just kidding, says Plyman. I wouldn't be completely surprised if it was his brother, though, Gerard Butler. And I bought a creamy milk tart for coffee, vanilla and thick with crusty base. I had a friend in Edinburgh, we called him Keith, because he had an eye missing. I've just realized, I was wondering, the spelling looked a little bit different to what I'll be used to seeing for spelling Keith, and then the joke hit me. But now, going to be kicking this one. Finn Russell does get it over. And that means that Bath now take the 2-point lead back, 19 points to 17. Still plenty of time left on the clock. Plenty of movement to be made. And we're happy with that one, though, Bath. They needed it as well after all of the pressure that they were able to create. Try, of course, did seem like it was always just around the corner. And get in there, Bath. Says Jason there too. Now, going to be kicked off by Ross Thompson. Going to be kicked off into the 22. The sun's back out. It looked like it was going to rain just before, but now already we are seeing the weather changing. Ben Spencer. Oh, they actually can play at him there. He did take a little bit too long to get rid. He has ended up having quite a good kick. It's gone into the 22 of Edinburgh. Now Ross Thompson off his left boot will send this one into touch. Still 25 minutes. And these two sides have played at a fatiguing pace. An exhausting pace, in fact, you probably call it. Ewan Ashman ready to throw this ball in, but a few men won't be too mad about getting subbed off at this point. In fact, Ashman's one of them. They've decided to replace him with Harrison, who will make his way off the bench. Who else have they still got in terms of the bench? We'll go like this and like this. These are the two lineups. Mosisi Tuipulotu, another man who can make his way off the bench here for Edinburgh. Alongside that, they have got the likes of Muncaster, who's actually had some pretty decent moments as of late, makes his way onto the field and normally brings a bit of an impact and physicality with him. Righto, and Brian Butler, his only brother, says Albert. Does he also act, I wonder? Brian Butler will go like this, and we'll go like that. If they got... I can't find him. But yeah, it just didn't quite look like Gerard behind the pole. It may have been. I might be talking rubbish, but it's going to be kicked high by Ali Price now. For a decent bit of contesting there was Edinburgh. Thomas Detoy, well handled. Going back across to the left-hand side. So I think they actually made a change, which was Will Stewart starting in this match and Thomas Detoy making his way off the bench. Bit of a juggle there. And Edinburgh get possession back with Darcy Graham, tackled by Redpath. The ball is available. So they will choose to use it here. Edinburgh about 30 metres out from their own line. Still 23 minutes left on the clock, and we are less than an hour away from the Champions Cup semi-final between Leinster and Northampton. Oh man, do we lose the lead? Says Drape. They did, and now Bath, they've got themselves another penalty, and they have firmly, I would say, taken momentum in this game. It's a bit of a concern for them. Just for now, Edinburgh not really finding their feet throughout the last 10 minutes or so, and Bath went from having a man disadvantage to actually a man advantage now. Because of a repeat infringement, Sam Skinner was the man who did go from the field. And maybe that is also why we're seeing Bath go to the line out so much, because of the fact that they are missing one of their main jumpers. Looks like Dunn might have got a little bit of a knock on the shoulder. So he will be hoping to continue in this contest. And we're going to see it there, yeah, just right on the top. A bit of a stinger, as they call it. And yeah, he looked like his arm all just shriveled up straight away. He was not happy about it, Dunn. It's one of those ones that sends shocks all down the body. It looks like he's going to be all right to continue. He's at least moving the arm around at this current point in time. Playing a little bit of One Direction at the ground by the sounds of it. So they've gone from AC/DC to One Direction. Two very different dynamics, I guess you could say. And looks like, no, this will actually be the last play of the day for Dunn. I am sure he wanted to continue, but Niall Annett will now make his way on, and a big chance for Bath to be able to use their bench to their advantage and start to really take this game by the scruff of the neck. Looks like Finn Russell, once again, they are going to be opting to go towards the touchline. And that one's gone into touch, about 7 metres outside Buzz in the kitchen. Says Rape, and Finn Russell converted, says Hashbury. So yeah, 19 points to 17. The way that it does currently sit, honestly, it can still go either way. 3 tries for Bath, 2 tries for Edinburgh. And now another line out thrown in nicely and dragged down the sack is good, says the referee. So it is now going to be play on without the advantage. But if they give away another advantage here, Edinburgh, this is where we could see another man maybe sent to the bin. Sebastian trying to get into the breakdown, instead just giving one of the forwards a massive wedgie. Now off to the right-hand side, it's Thomas Detoy. 5 metres from the line. Big chance again for Alfie Barbary, and that is another offside advantage. This is not going well at the moment for this Edinburgh side, disciplinary-wise. They've got numbers to the left here, but I don't think this ball's going to come out quick enough for them to be able to fully use them. They keep going off to the short side, now spinning, getting closer to the try line. How about last dance with Mary Jane? Says Rape, and hectic Barfy head in tennis, says Ruth. Yeah, they just want that try, and now they've got it out to the left-hand side. I believe there was a very sneaky offload from maybe Sam Underhill. And the Bath try out near the wing. This is where the momentum has completely gone the opposite direction. Alfie Barbary is the man who does get the try. But that is a big one to have. And reaches down, scores the try in dynamic fashion. It's been my word of the weekend at the moment, dynamic. And I don't know why it's just this weekend that we've said it, but it's how we've described many things. But yeah, very nicely done by Barbary. And now Finn Russell, he will be able to kick this one right from the sideline, or at least an attempt at it. Had a decent day off the kicking tee, but this one will be tough. Strikes it well. Bit of a charge down attempted, and it's missed away to the left. And we'll make the score now 24 points to 17. The 7-point difference. Average win for Bath, says Jason, and Edinburgh still down to 14, says Ashbury. True. And the longer that they play with that 14, in fact, now I think that yellow card is ended by the looks of it. But it was a pretty costly 10 minutes. And also floodgates are open now for Bath. If they're not careful, they will. So I do see that Skinner has been taken pretty much straight off the field and they've gone to Young instead now. But yeah, if you're Edinburgh here, you need to be the next team to score. Even if it's 3 points, just to give you some sort of rhythm and momentum. Nicely taken on the halfway line for Wes Hooson. A little bit of a counter ruck coming. That's a good steal in the breakdown again, this time coming from Pepper. And now Bath again with ball in hand. Start to get an attack going. Offloaded. A little bit rough, but it has now been cleaned up by Alfie. Or sorry, in fact, that was Tom de Glanville. Now Alfie Barbary has the ball in hand. And Skinner just too naughty skinning it, says Ruth. To the final quarter of this contest. And come now, boys. Finn Russell, says JD. Kicked high again. Chasing after this one. Chance under the high ball. Beautifully done by Will Muir. Was the man who started off the yellow card trend in this match. Since then, we've seen 2 more men sent off. Will Stewart moves to 10 metres out. Onto it was Edinburgh, but not able to get that steal in the breakdown for Bradbury. Oh, it's become unplayable, but it will still be the scrum feed for Bath. When you've got someone like a Thomas DeToy in the front row of your scrum, that's when the danger starts to occur. Unplayable clearly is the comment there from the referee, which is why this one will continue. Now, 18 minutes remaining. Finu, a Russell of a guy. And walk in the park, says Jason. Yeah, one more try here, and I'd say this game's almost done and dusted. Now, if the next try is Edinburgh, though, she's still got plenty more action remaining. 17 minutes or so. Someone said, yes, sir, in the scrum. So obviously, being nice and respectful to the referee, who I think's done a pretty decent job in this contest overall. In the semi-final, he's had some pretty decent control of it. I think it could have been a lot worse. And righto, says Jason. And now another big push there. Edinburgh conceding about 3rd scrum penalty against them. This might not be a mile off. Maybe one of the replacement front rowers getting sent to the bin too. And come on, finish it off, Russells. Says JD. Right, time is now off. Captain getting called over. I think Grant Gilchrist just having a bit of a chat there with the referee, probably pleading that, listen, like, we're trying not to concede penalties, but in every scrum seems to be the only thing that's happening at the moment. JD, you funny guy, says Drape. Now 17 minutes left on this clock. We'll mention the next game. Like I said, it is going to be Leinster taking on Northampton. Bit of a change in plan here for Bath. They're actually going to go for the 3 now. That's a bit surprising, but I guess it makes sense in regards of extend your lead, worry about winning the game, and then go for tries in the future. But I feel like they had all momentum. You know, another scrum, we could have seen a final warning or maybe even a yellow card for their opposition here. But they're going for the 3. Finn Russell will be the man in charge of this one. A good call, 2-score game, says Patrick. Yeah, it just puts that little bit more pressure on Edinburgh, who have only got 1 kick over so far. Or, in fact, sorry. No, they've kicked everything, Edinburgh. Ross Thompson. He's had a good day at the office with the exception of that very first kick. So I think he's 75%. Now that I think about it, but that is going to separate them by 10 points now. 27 points to 17 with only 16 minutes now left on the clock. Knockout rugby, better to take the 3, says Albert. Exactly right. Like, yes, you can go for the jugular and get yourself a try, but you can also fail at doing so and end up getting 0 points from it. So glad that Ruth is on here again today, says Robert. Ruth's here, I think, almost every weekend. I can't think of too many that she's missed in the last few weeks, or at least last few months even. Now going off to the left-hand side will be the replacement, 16 Harrison. Onto the ball though, Thomas DeToy. Not sure what he didn't win the penalty for there. Oh no, it was actually the call of no hands from the ref, so that's why he probably got lucky not to be penalised in that scenario. Now going short side, Ali Price with a nice quick pass. The hands of Matt Curry. Practice match for Bath, says Jason. Of course, if they do win this game, they will go on to face the winner of either Racing 92 or Lyon. And that will be happening on the 24th of May, New Zealand time. I believe that would be the 23rd in the evening for you guys in the north. And we try to make light of the dark, my brother. Nice pass there for Edinburgh. Ali Price does. Oh, he gets it down in the end, but it was close to being held up. And Edinburgh get back into the game pretty much instantly after conceding. And we have got there, hello from New York. Awesome job as always. What time is your next game? Next game will be kicking off in only about 50 minutes time, but we are starting in 40 minutes. So we've got a 10-minute build-up for Leinster versus Northampton, and then Sevens pretty much continuing right through for about maybe 6 hours, maybe even more than that actually, closer to 7 hours after that. And I love chatting with all you guys. Interesting. And Price, what a priceless try. Says Riv, yeah, that was much needed for this Edinburgh team. They could not afford to concede again, and instead they said, right, we'll just get one ourselves. Wonder if the breakdown still thinks URC, etc. is still low level. As without the South African teams. Says Robert. Yeah, I think that, like that comment on the breakdown, there's been many theories about it. One of which has been that they were trying to get some numbers and clicks from the north, and if that was the case, then it's worked flawlessly because more people are watching the breakdown now than they had in the past. Ross Thompson, important kick, and he has got it over, bringing the scores just that little bit closer to level, 24 points to 27. Where there is life, there is hope, says Ashbury, and some try from Frank Butler. Says Pyman there, but Ali Price having his try that he should have had within the first about probably 3 minutes of the game. And everyone relax. We all know Bath will win, says Jason. Edinburgh's crowd really get in behind them now. Stewart will make his way from the field, and that is going to be for Griffin, a man who wasn't initially named in the 23-man side for today. This has been overload, says Ruth. It's going to be now kicked off long and high from Bath. And they would love to get another penalty. They have had plenty of them throughout this match already, and if they are to do so, then it would put them that little bit closer to securing another try. Kick downfield from Ali Price of his left boot, and it has gone out. Sounds like O'Donoghue has also made his way onto the field, and Schroeder, I believe. Oh, sorry, Kieran Donoghue rather than O'Donoghue. Edinburgh chance again going around the ground. Line out throw for Niall Annett. Off to the right now. Backline movement for Bath. Finn Russell going across to the right hand side. Quick hands, beautifully done. Out wide, a chance for, he's in touch again for Thokina Singh. And that is twice now that he's been right next to the sideline and it has been out. I think that they've done very well, Edinburgh, in terms of shutting that man down. Darcy Graham has had to keep an eagle eye on him and actually had to cover a lot of ground to be able to push him into touch there. A couple big shots still coming in late in this game. Both sides will not be accused of lacking physicality throughout this matchup. The big thing is they're both playing next week. And it's a crucial game for Edinburgh in their next contest, as it's pretty much do or die at this stage of the URC. They have to get the win over Connacht, so these guys will probably be in action again. Now, I've just mentioned there, Edinburgh 10 years almost since they have played in the final. That one is going to be kicked into touch by Ali Price, who's getting much more of a kicking role in the last little while, but this might be the change, is it? Looks like Ali Price Is he making his way off the field, or is he just getting to the line out first? He's just getting to the line out first. They have got Shield coming off the bench. How do you see the Northampton game going? I would say at the moment, the way that Leinster have been playing, they're going to be very tough to beat. But Northampton have got the players and the skill to be able to cause that upset. I think is the best way of describing that matchup. The Lone Ranger and Tonto were surrounded by Indians. When LR asked what will we do now, Tonto replied, "We white man," says Ashbury. Okay, I feel like I don't know that scenario at all. But now that one's going to be an offload there from Bohan Fenta, kicked into field from Thukana Singer. And back across to the right, bit of a juggle there in the middle. They have been able to clean it up there for James Lang. This is nervous times at the moment for Edinburgh, definitely from being inside of their own 22. Anything can happen. One mistake could be the difference between conceding a try with 10 to go and being able to exit efficiently. And Ali Price, once again, will look to do just that. Hey, let's go, boys and girls. Hit the like button, please, and subscribe to the Kiwi Lads. Says Roof. Now pass back across. Looking almost, this is more of a cross kick attempted here, and it goes straight into the hands. Kick downfield, but covering back is Finn Russell, looking for the 50-22 off the side of the boot, and it will go out about 28 metres from the Edinburgh line. Just muted TV, Leinster game build-up starting. Says Patrick. Yeah, that game only 45 minutes away from starting up. See, it's quite sad in a way for us here in New Zealand because we only get like 5 minutes build-up for those matches. They do the last run-throughs of the teams and then it's into the action. But I'd love to get a bit more of the insight of the teams before the match. And we have got their tough game, love it. Says Anthony, yeah, it's been close, and it's been exactly what you want to see for a semi-final. Both sides more than in this contest. Looks like now Annette will once again get the line out right, taken by Richie. It's been nowhere near as evident in this game as I thought he would have been. The only thing that we've seen too much from him was actually him almost starting a fight. Now, fucking a singer, he's been taken off the field, and that is for Kieran Donahue. Oh, almost a tackle in the air from Jamie Ritchie, and in fact, he's going to be penalised, ladies and gents. So just as I say, we haven't seen much of him. He ends up giving away the penalty. And Bath now, another chance to either add 3. It would be about 48 metres out on the angle, so not an easy kick. So I think the better option here would be definitely go for the corner. Yeah, just one of those ones that were poor timing from Ritchie. Nothing cynical in it, just taking the man out in the air, though, and putting him down nicely. They've just said there that the crowd have gone very quiet. So there will be a lot of nervous players and also fans in attendance. Of course, the last 2 games for Edinburgh, they lost narrowly to the Sharks by 1, and their game after that, drop ball from under. It actually slipped through his fingertips, but their game after that, was up against Zebre, and they did have a draw. So Edinburgh would love nothing more than to get back on the winner's sheet. Kicking it downfield from Will Muir, putting in the big strides. Good quick hands, though, from Edinburgh. Darcy Graham trying to sneak through, but fantastic defence again from Will Butt. Both of these sides have made some brilliant last-ditch tackles that have saved multiple line breaks. Did any crowd have a team song like they do for their soccer teams? I think it's just chanting Edinburgh. Awkward bounce, well claimed by Ves Hussein. Now goes off to the short side. That looked like head-on-head there between Archie Griffin, but the penalty is actually going to go the way of Bath. Now, I don't know whether or not this is going to be checked, but it did look like some head-on-head contact. They might just have another look at this one, perhaps. See if it was the case. Hamish, why don't you have a 8th cold beer while commentating? Says Anthony. Normally, water seems to do the trick. We used to not drink any liquids on the live streams. But that turned into a pretty brutal period where I think I lost my voice for about 3 weeks or so just because I wasn't giving my voice enough time to recover. So, yeah, we just stick to the water just so that we don't have a situation like that again, but it was really bad. Like it was the KFC Big Bash for the cricket, because we were doing games throughout the week as well. And I pretty much just had no voice left for quite a bit of time. A little bit of upbeat music playing around the ground, but Bath, they are definitely in a brilliant position here. Edinburgh have done well defending from their goal line throughout this match too. Rugby doesn't have much chanting, just singing mostly, says Sean. Now, playing Don't Stop Me Now. Now, one thing that will need to be stopped is this Bath rolling maul. Damn, that makes sense, says Anthony. And not sure if we're going working or waiting on works, mates, says JD. Ready to throw it in again here for Bath. If they score now and convert, well, even without a conversion, if they just score now, they win this game. Not enough time left, I don't believe, for Edinburgh to be able to get back into it. So they have to defend like this competition depends on it, which at the moment, it definitely does. Carried just a few metres out from the line. Barbary again pops it up. He was the man. Did score the last try. Also managed to win a penalty not too long ago. Round the side, it can go again for Bath. Just a small stroll in the park for Bath, says Jason. I'm loving the confidence. Like, you've got a lot of it in Bath. And at the moment, they are on the verge of getting themselves another try here. And closer to the line again. Pick and go for Bath. Another penalty advantage. So this is on the verge of another yellow card here for Edinburgh too. And the crowd, there is a worrying silence about them. Just at the moment, they know that their side are on the verge of getting themselves in a little bit of trouble. Crowd are booing about that penalty, but I believe it was offside and called Brother Raiders game. Should be good. And Petty didn't know that the Glad's good at soccer. At soccer. Good stuff, just learned something, says Raven. Come on, Edinburgh, says Mark. Yeah, they're 5 metres out from their line and they are defending with everything that they've got. And honestly, a lot of other teams by this stage of the match would have conceded more points than Edinburgh have. They have had a couple penalties, one just out from their own goal line, which I believe have saved tries. But once again, Bath are going to throw themselves at the line. And it makes me think back to that first 10 minutes where Ali Price didn't chase his kick and it bounced awkwardly and he would have scored it. 3 points missed at the start. That's another try there for Bath. That's an 8 points difference now with a kick to come. And that might just be the game. How many minutes left? Only 5.5 minutes remaining. In fact, less than that, 4.5 now. We'll get this in before the ending. Thanks for the commentary once again, says Bruce. Thank you very much for being here. Our next game is happening in only about 25 minutes' time that we are starting up that commentary. That will be Leinster in their game up against Northampton. And G, says Mark, yeah, that was one that they just couldn't afford to concede. And Bath now have 1 foot into the final. And it's not the best in terms of Edinburgh's recent record. 2 losses and a draw as their most recent games. They have to make sure they win next week up against Connacht, like I said, if they want a chance of going through to the quarterfinals of the URC. Because, of course, they put a lot of energy into this game. We see it there. They are sitting currently in 10th. They are 2 points behind Benetton, 2 points behind Munster, Ulster, just behind them, Connacht. You know, if they win their next game, then all of a sudden, Connacht have a great chance of going through. But a very nice finish from Bath to score. Spencer's been taken off the field now for Schroeder. And we have good there. Oh, well, looks like Bath bringing out the soap now for the full clean and rise. And I think Sam, you're gorgeous and simply the best commentary king. Says Ruth. That is extremely high praise, Ruth. Thank you very much. But now 3 minutes remaining. And Bath look like, even though they have got this game secured, they are not finished. Never mind, the best thing about Edinburgh is the train back to Glasgow, says Hashbury. Like I said, we all know Bath will win. Says Jason, and they did come in as favourites for this contest, so favourite getting the job done. Shield only getting 3 minutes at the end of this match as Ali Price has now made his way off the field. Munster versus Ulster, good game for the top 8, says Patrick on Friday night. And that is going to be straight out. Okay, it sounds like they are going to go for the line out now. And even though Edinburgh are down by 10 with 2.5 minutes remaining, they still seem like they're at least trying to get something going here. It's something that you love to see, sides that just don't know how to give up and instead will just continue to fight and fight some more. Going to be well handled by Tom de Glanville. Ball back in the hands of Bath again. Finn Russell, he's had a good game from that 10 jersey, but I think his backline have really helped this side out. Will Muir carrying the ball in one hand, bundles through one, offloads unselfishly, and it's another try for Bath right at the end, which is going to make this score look a little bit less close, but certainly was for a while. That will be the try for Guy Pepper. It's just, once again, just a really strong backline movement. And righto, says Jason. And there as well. Yeah, definitely not what they wanted in that scenario. And yeah, Bath are still just continuing to go for the final moments. 90 seconds left here. They've got themselves their 6th try of the match, Bath. So a bit of a statement made to the team that they will play in the final, either Racing or Lyon. And Irish Derby, Munster versus Ulster, Patrick. And player of the match, Frank Butler. Fantastic player, says Byman. Or ref really sounded like he's struggling to catch his breath here. Taking some, well, I mean, it's been a fast pace. So not only are the players feeling it, but the referee, of course, also feeling the tempo. Finn Russell lining up this kick once again right next to the sideline. Misses away to the left. Anyone know where I can stream the Leinster match? What country are you in? Just living life. Because there are possibly a few free options. In Ireland, there's normally the broadcaster, who I can't think of, but I'm sure someone, RTE player, there it is, from Patrick. So if you're in Ireland, that works well. If you're outside of Ireland and you have a VPN, if you set yourself to Ireland, you should be able to watch it. That's a try for Edinburgh. Right at the end of this game, they managed to retain the kickoff. Patrick Harrison, the man who scores it, NR1 in commentary, thanks again. Or number 1 in commentary, sorry, from Petrus. Thank you very much, mate. And we have got plenty more coming up later on. We've got the 7s as well as that Leinster versus Northampton match, but that's a nice little bonus for Edinburgh right at the end. It would be the equivalent of a bonus point had it been in a matchup. Is that accidental offside for Darcy Graham? Just looking at that one. Oh, in fact, no, that is a knock-on from Graham, I think. So this one might be disallowed. I think they've just said clear knock-on against Graham there. And Bath doesn't have dandruff. They use head and shoulders. Says Ashbury, and come on, Hamish, get some credit for this high school refs. Says JD. Yeah, that's going to be disallowed for Edinburgh. So that try will actually be taken away. That'll put them back to 24. It will be, once again, just a frustrating moment in a game that has already had its fair share of frustrations. I'm actually sat in the back rooms at work listening to this. I hope Edinburgh can pull it out the bag. Sadly, I don't want to be that guy. Oh, I sent that message ages ago, says SB. Player of the match is Sam Underhill. Yeah, I didn't want to break the bad news to SB, but Edinburgh, not quite their day today. 15 points difference between these two sides with 15 seconds remaining on the clock. Bath will be through to that final. Like I said, Edinburgh will look towards Connacht in next week's fixture. Lang makes his way off and Healy comes on for 15 seconds. That seems a little bit pointless, if I'm being honest. Yes, he'll get the cap. It's going to be another penalty, though, going the way of Bath. And a little bit of push and shove there, too. Both front rows are fired up. Griffin getting in there. And that's the thing, like, huge frustration in this contest for this Edinburgh side. The first half was going pretty decently. They had some great defending. Oh, and they will just take the tap. They'll kick it into touch, and that will be the end of the contest. 39 points to 24, the end score. And they will move through to the final. But that is not the only semi-final we get to see today. It's not for the Challenge Cup, the next one, but it is the Champions Cup. Leinster taking on Northampton Saints. That one is going to be starting in 20 minutes' time for our stream, so be sure to check that one out, of course. But anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We're going to be back for that final as well, and I will see you all for the next one.